Happy NFL preseason full slate eve, Draft Crafters, I guess. It's Dan, it's JP. Trying to come up with something to talk about at this point in the year is still a little bit fun at times. But, dude, tomorrow, the 13th of August, is when the NFL preseason slate starts in earnest. And we know for a fact that we'll get to see J.J. McCarthy because Kyler Murray, is the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. And
for now,
and we'll talk. We'll talk a little more about that next episode as we get into our fantasy rankings, kind of our little take on it. Because we told people we're not a fantasy football show. We both play fantasy football in a couple leagues, but we're not a show that's our life. We're not dedicating ourselves to that. We dedicate ourselves to football and then things like this in a glass. Cheers. But Kyler Murray might be moving up your list.
As far, my fantasy football list? Well, yeah, of course. Whoever they name the starter is going to move up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, so I decided to start using this football mug because it almost looks like our logo, and yeah. But check it out; it's depressing.
Yeah, this is a 12-ounce beer. Yeah, exactly. So you're basically drinking out of what is more or less a stein that people would usually bring to like Oktoberfest things, and where it's like $5 to fill up your stein. And you're like, cool, give me one of these. All right, and so it is. It's very humorous to see a 12-ouncer in there because you could get like at least 4 12-ouncers in there from the look of things. I would say maybe even 5. It's probably a 2-liter mug.
Well, the little water pitcher that's on my fridge that fills up?
Yeah.
The Brita-like thing. It's not a Brita, it's one that comes with the fridge.
Yeah.
The full pitcher fits in here perfectly.
So, yeah, I would say it's 1 or 2 liters. I'm not exactly sure. It's at least a liter. We can say that much.
I think it's a liter.
Sure. I believe that. And that's dangerous. If you're going to fill it up with something other than just water. It's great if you're drinking water. You should have a couple of those a day, right? That's a good idea. We're having a beer today. We had a bunch of beer another day this week, though, too. We thought about doing this as a live stream, and it was a good choice that we didn't.
I was so angry at Dan, and you had to put ease all over
it for both of us, man. It was a... Look, this started as a joke, right? The joke was... We're going to do a super light beer challenge for all these beers that are barely beers that are like 60 some odd calories and 3 or 4% alcohol. And then somehow, after we joked about it and I kept saying it's going to happen, you decided to triple down on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we're going to do it, we got to go all in. You got to do things right. I can't just, I guess I could put the E on it. I can't half-ass them.
Right, exactly.
I got to go.
Well, and as a quick reminder for everybody, this is our craft show, right? So if any of you want to hear football stuff, just skip to the next one. But you're going to get a lot of great insight into things that
hear about the Vikings.
Well, right, I guess you hear about the Vikings at the beginning, yeah. You may see a couple other things sprinkled throughout here. But this is the episode where we're dedicated solely to the craft and to stupid human decisions. And that stupid human decision that we had was not only did we not do the super light beer challenge. Don't worry, that is still coming. We did a light beer challenge. And we didn't just do a light beer challenge because we didn't want to buy 6-packs of all of these light beers except for one. We did tall boy light beer challenges. And this is probably the first time in the history of our show where both. Now, there's been a rare occasion here or there where one or the two of us will dump out some booze, but we believed in alcohol abuse that night. We dumped a lot of beer by the end of it.
Yeah, and I made you finish your top 2.
Right, exactly, and you did
which
as well.
Was highly enjoyable
for
me to watch that, which was great.
We'll talk about why here in a minute, but to give people the whole landscape, what we're trying to do is we were going to do 6, we ended up doing 8, so 8 light beers, and these are the traditional domestics.
We could have gone, obviously, a bunch more, but I feel like the 8 that we got, it gave a pretty damn good representative of what it's like. So if we do decide to add on more, I think maybe we just reference this show and remember our top 2
we're never doing
something,
it again.
Or maybe top 3 each. Yeah. Well, hopefully not.
We've talked about doing
next off season rolls around, you're like, dude, there's like 8 more we could have done. Maybe we need to do a part 2.
You know what? There are 8 more we could have done. I do not want to do a part 2. And with apologies to anybody who loves Busch Light, sorry, we didn't end up putting that in our 8. But again, we're going to so we did that one. We are going to take our top 2 beers. So my first place and your first place.
I think Busch Light would have finished in the middle. As far as these bad domestic beers go.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been at the bottom.
No.
Well, I mean, I didn't think what finished at the bottom for me was going to finish at the bottom. We'll get to that in a minute. But we are going to, so we did that one, right? A couple nights ago, which was so much fun, sending pictures and videos out to group chat. I will put together a little reel on Instagram of the chaos that we had for that. But then also, we are going to do a craft light beer challenge. And we're going to try to keep it in the same vein. We don't want to have a light beer that's too far off the rails of the type of lager we were drinking. But we are going to do at least a 6-pack of craft beers, light beers, and we'll take the winners from that. And then we're going to take the winners from the super light beer challenge and basically have a 6-pack, so 2, 2, and 2, because you're first, my first, unless we tie for one of those. And we'll do the final, just depressing light beer challenge.
But with the exception of the super light beer one, actually, you know what? I think we did the worst one first, which is good.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. At least with the super light beer challenge, I won't be nearly as full as I was drinking all of these. Or at least I don't think I will be.
They
Who
are
knows?
super light on the flavor and the alcohol content. So yeah, it's more or less drinking.
Is there going to be
water.
enough flavor to even crown a winner? Or are these just all the same with a different label?
That's what it's going to be interesting. We felt that way for the most part with a lot of the light beers that we tried. There were 1 or 2 that stood out for each of us, and the rest of it was...
I had 3 that stood out as like,
you did.
Okay.
I had 1.
Which was
2 through
interesting.
8 could have been anything else.
But yeah, I guess we'll get there. I'll talk about it when we get...
But yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I guess we just... Oh, go ahead.
Like if we were going to tier these out, I look at the light beer from the craft places is going to be like, the Power 4 conferences. The light beer is probably the G6, and the super light beer is the FCS. And we're gonna put those winners together. Like if you took those 3 tournaments and took the top 2 of each, you'd end up with what our 6-pack is going to look like eventually. So we will have to do those other 2 at some point in the relatively near future. Next time, maybe not next time we get together, but the next couple times we get together. Because we also talked about, as we were walking through the store, it is August, which means we're starting to see Oktoberfest beers. We're starting to see pumpkin beers. And it's been a couple years since our Oktoberfest blind challenge we did, and our Smashing Pumpkins. So we're going to have to do Smashing Pumpkins 2 Electric Boogaloo at some point too, man. There's going to be a lot of beer in our future.
That's a hell of a little foreshadowing on my behalf for something else we're going to do on this episode today, because some of the results from those shows or those experiments, if you will, factored in to my decisions on what I did. And I often wonder if they'd still be the same, but we'll get there.
Well, we might end up doing, we're going to find a way to combo those together. So to start with this, again, we've joked about how none of us were going to win. We're both going to lose. And we both lost. And I lost before it started.
Yes, you lost like before it started. You also lost like just based on your results. I don't want to get too much away.
But you lost you'll see
all the way around.
Oh my goodness. You'll see a picture.
And nothing won. Like, I don't know that one thing went right for you.
No, it was so you enjoyed it though, and that's the special part, right? So, and again, we didn't have all of this documented.
Made it all completely worthwhile.
And again, we were doing this right. We're doing this proper. We had 8 beers. We poured the tall boys into mason jars, so we had 8 pretty sizably full mason jars of beer that we were taking outside. We were being smart about it, 4 and 4. Except apparently, I couldn't even manage 4. Because the 3 that I had in my hand and then 1 here, and then I somehow missed one of the 2 steps off of your deck and ended up doing that 2 stutter splash thing.
So you 50% fail.
Yeah. The only thing that was good about all of that was it meant that I had less beer to drink because some of it was on me.
But the only this might be the only good thing for you that happened. Because you almost face planted it and spilled beer all over your bean.
Yeah.
I quickly went, dude, all your samples are tainted. How do you know some didn't go into another glass or this or that?
100% did, yeah.
You
as
can
much
put
as went everywhere
on yours if you want.
I'm going to, obviously, with a couple of those. But with everything,
you have to do it again solo, and I have to watch.
Oh, jeez.
Yes,
if we're doing that, then we are gonna live stream that so we can see your reaction and me having to suffer through it. I just don't want to spend the money on buying those beer again. That's the only problem I have with doing it.
I did.
Yeah,
I would happily buy them just to sit and watch you do it while I drink a good beer.
Maybe we'll do that again. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so that is the joke, right? That is definitely tainted. So once we managed to get all these beers out by the fire, because let's be honest, we weren't just going to sit inside and do this. You got to sit by the fire and sip on some beers. Plus, it's harder to tell which one's which since we had them all labeled.
Oh yeah, you couldn't see anything.
Glass.
And
Exactly.
I was glad we did that because I didn't even think about it till you pointed it out that one of them you could tell by the hue. Now I'm a little colorblind, so maybe it wouldn't have worked as well for me either way. But being in the dark, I couldn't see.
Exactly. And Modelo Oro, which again, we try to do light beer. So we'll give you the rundown of the list. We had Miller Lite, we had Bud Light, obviously. We did PBR Light because you're a PBR fan and they now have a light beer. We did Coors Light.
Which I'd never had.
Right. Mick Ultra, Natty Light because we just thought that was hilarious. And then we had two entries from, because those are all the Americans, right? And then we had Labatt Light from the north and we had Modelo Oro from the south to complete kind of that whole domestic-ish lineup of lagery type light beers, Modelo Oro being the light one from Modelo. So that was the one that seemed, and looking back on it, I think there were different levels of hue of what looked like pee. It was roughly what we were looking at. We pretty much had the line of kind of healthy to unhealthy pee was what this all looked like if you lined up the jars. And that right there should have been a sign. There's a reason why they call it piss beer, right? Because it was just, they all were some version of a yeasty codpiece to me. It's just that style, man.
Yeah, the only way I was able to differentiate like any of this were different levels of sweetness. And then mostly the biggest factor was like the carbonation, like the mouth feel. Is what was making it certain ones win for me. I was like, "Ooh, this one has it's a more fun mouth feel. There's more carbonation. It feels like there's a little more bubbly. I have no idea. Right. I was looking for anything to separate these, and that's how desperate I got. Was just mouth feel.
Okay, well, I think that we can start with the bottom of both of ours and work our way up.
The bottom was the most beautiful thing that could have happened, and it was the thing that I was the most nervous about.
You stood up and did a little happy dance when you found out which one you placed last. Because, again, these were blind. We did not know what we were drinking in what order.
All the way around the fire pit.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as it happened.
Because what finished dead last for you?
Are we doing all mine and then all yours, or are we doing this one for one?
No, we'll go one for one.
I don't know. Okay. 8th place out of 8. Thankfully. Bud Light.
We have dogged Bud Light so much on this show that
it just tastes. It doesn't taste bad.
It tastes like nothing.
Literally, it was the one that I had said. I'm like, Dan, I just when we were doing it, I set it off to the side. I'm like, I'm struggling to find a flavor of beer in here anywhere at any point. Like, if you're a Bud Light drinker, no offense, but like you don't like beer.
Yeah, tell me what notes you pick out on a Bud Light.
Nothing.
Exactly.
Sugar water. Just sugar water.
Right.
It tastes like I don't even get a yeasty note. Like literally nothing. It's just sweet water. It's like I have a glass of water and somebody like put a little bit of like artificial sweetener, even like Splenda or something in it.
Fair. Yeah, it's not even. We don't want to belittle sugar by and putting it in the same breath as Bud Light, right? So you had Bud Light finish last. I wanted Bud Light to finish last for me as well. It did not. Now, in my defense, I guess, if you will, the bottom four
spilled all
for
your
me
things together?
Yeah, right. I spilled them all together. But the bottom four
only
for
four.
Me especially.
And we don't know what 4 were.
Right, exactly. That's the other part, too. But especially that bottom grouping, I feel like they could have gone anywhere between 5 and 8 for the most part. At least, certainly the bottom 3, between 6 and 8.
I had about a...
8 was 6.
We should bring up a tier.
6, and 6 moved to 8.
My bottom 3 were almost in a tier 2. It's just Bud Light came. Yeah. It was the worst of the
I'm
3.
comfortable saying that as well, even though I still feel bad for Canada, because Labatt Light finished last for me, and I was surprised with that. Not that I was necessarily thinking any of these were going to be that much better than the others, but I really did not expect, because I generally have not had a problem with Labatt over the years. So for them to finish last made me sad.
I still can't believe that Labatt finished last.
I know, right? 7 for you.
Just can't. 7 for me, and still in this bottom tier, if you will. Just better than Bud Light. Is something that a lot of people have nicknamed Michelob Ultra. Michelob Ultra.
Yeah, 7
came in 7th place, and like basically, This was. It felt very, very much like Bud Light. I felt like somebody might have put just a sprinkle of some sort of basic yeasty bready notes in there, and that was it. And it was sweet and water, and
for a 95 calorie beer, that's about what you'd expect. But there's a lot of other things I'd spend 95 calories on personally. So we both had Mich Ultra sitting in the 7 spot. 6 spot. This is where I at least got to put Bud Light. So it was in that bottom tier for me, right? But somehow Bud Light had walked its way up from 8th, because it was 8th at one point, up to like 6th.
Yeah, that was the crazy thing. Like so the way we did this, and I know we're getting off on a tangent halfway through, but you take 2 drinks out of each one and go all the way down, and you kind of rank them. Then we did 2 drinks out of each one and went all the way down and ranked them.
Mm-hmm.
And should be maybe your final. But then we kind of A and B'd them.
Right.
I tasted, I went back and forth and was A and B in them, like this one versus this one, that one versus that one.
8,
blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And like none of mine changed. I kept my exact same order from the first run. Now you on the A and B, the third
I was all
round,
over the place.
if you will.
Yeah.
Stuff was climbing,
and
switching.
that's my point. Yeah. It's because it was all so much the same disgustingness. It was. No thanks.
All right, was that your
all
6? Was that your 6 you're saying was Bud Light? Okay, 6 for me. I kid you not. I remembered saying this when we were doing it. I was convinced that this was the exact... I had 2 of what I didn't know at the time. Based on this, Michelob Ultra. I'm like, same beer.
Yep.
This is the same beer, and they're both just slightly better than Bud Light. But it was Natural Light, the old Natty Light.
Mm-hmm.
I
in
never
the old school
would guess
can art.
Yep. I never would guess that Natty Light and Michelob Ultra are essentially the same beer on my palate. But I did for whatever reason, and I don't know what it is, and I don't know if it's better or worse, or I should be happy or sad. But Natty Light edged out Michelob Ultra by the smallest of margins possible.
It's funny when you're talking about that, because these are very much splitting hairs for a bunch of these. 5th for me, and this made me sad, because PBR Light finished 5th, and I was really hoping PBR Light would be higher, just because we've always joked about that being one of our favorite 30 rack type beers to grab if you're doing your cheap beers.
Not PBR Light though, just PBR.
No, right, regular PBR, but that's why I figured PBR Light would have to be there too.
I am now declaring right here, right now, and I was waiting to the show to put you on blast. As terrible it's going to be, I will own this one.
Yeah.
There's no way we can do a light beer and not do a full-on domestic battle now.
Yeah.
So you got to do a Budweiser, a Coors Banquet beer, a standard PBR.
Are we going to do MGD, or are we going to do High Life?
Maybe both.
Yikes. It'd be hard to find an MGD.
I would choose High Life.
Yeah. High Life we can find. MGD might be tough.
I always liked High Life better anyways, I think.
Right,
they
exactly.
Both okay.
Is there a Natty Not Light?
No idea. No idea.
We might have to swap that
We're going to learn as we do this.
Yeah,
I guess there is a regular Michelob. There's regular all these.
This is going to be bad.
Yeah.
It's actually going to be worse, because it's still going to taste bad, and it's going to be more calories. You're going to be more full. I don't care about that.
No, I'll just dance around the fire pit after every one. Burn them off. It only takes 4 seconds. There's barely any calories.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
what are we on? Are we on 5?
Yeah, you're on 5.
You already go? You already said you're 5?
Yeah, because I talked about PBR Light. I wanted it to be higher.
Well, 5 for me was the Modelo Oro, which, as you said, was, I guess, the darkest one of all of these. But this is where I start a new tier, if you will, and it's a tier of 2. I basically had a top 3 tier, a bottom 3 tier, and then the 2 in the middle. And actually, I don't know, because maybe the top 4 were all in a tier. Maybe this is the middle tier of its own. I think it is, to be honest with you. I've got 2. I'll do my tiers as I go. I'm switching my tiers already.
Yeah,
bottom 3 was a tier.
5 to 2.
Yeah, the bottom 3 were all in the same tier.
Right.
This is its tier of its own, Modelo Oro, which I'd never had. But I mean, well, that's the first new one. I'd had all these before except for Modelo Oro and the Pabst Light. So, yeah, Modelo Oro. It had the sweetness that the other ones had. It had, some of the typical like yeasty, bready vibes that I get. But I could pick those up noticeably in this one, whereas the bottom three, I could not.
Right.
I couldn't.
Just nothing going on.
So, yeah.
Well, yeah. So my tier would be like 5, 4, 3, 2. I have the bottom 3, the middle 4, and then my top 1 felt like it was the only one that really separated itself. So 4 for me though. This is where Miller Lite comes in. And again, that is the beer.
Corona Light. We should have done one of those.
Oh, we should have Corona. Well, we did Modelo instead of Corona.
And a Busch Light.
Honestly,
there might be a part 2 to this.
Good Lord. Let's get through the other parts first. My goodness.
Yep.
We'll cross that bridge later. But yeah, so Miller Lite. We both actually had Miller Lite in 4th, which was the other tie that we had. So
we did.
But
that's a different tier for me.
Right, sure. It's a different tier for you. It's still kind of in the same tier for me. And it's not surprising that it ended up in the tier that it did, because Miller Lite is one of those beers that you're like, if someone handed me a Miller Lite at a thing, I would drink it. I'm not seeking out a Miller Lite, right? And again, if it's, let me put a caveat on that. If someone handed me that at a thing and there wasn't anything besides domestic beer, I would drink it.
Fair.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like I said, my wedding, right? We ended up doing, I think we did Coors Light and Miller Lite because I didn't want to have Bud Light on there, right? And which was the right choice, as we found out from this. It was the right choice, but I didn't drink a Coors Light or a Miller Lite at my wedding because...
I did not either.
Because there was a lot of other better beer that we had on tap.
You had Tangerine Space Machine, and I think I emptied that keg just trying to get rid of... It was one of the very few times in my life that I tried to hair the dog the night before.
Oh, my goodness.
And... it took a lot of Tangerine Space Machine to get there, and I think it did it as soon as I turned the lights on when your wedding was over. It's like, I feel good again. Let's start this over.
I'll be honest with you. If my wife would have been of the mindset to do a wedding after party that night, we would have kept going with you. But we were not. Look, her and I are wired differently. She is the most amazing human, right? But she was definitely done by 11 o'clock that night. She was tapped out. And fair. Because anybody who's ever been in a wedding or gotten married, it's a lot. In the best way,
you don't get the best
a lot you're ever going to have. No.
You just have a list of things you have to do in sequential order, and then it's over.
It is tough, and that's the thing. It's like, it's almost like, but the one thing that I've noticed, and this is me personally, quick tangent again, because a lot of the weddings that I've done, or that I've been at in the last several years, I've been working, right? I've been doing video, or I've been doing photography, or I've been DJing. And so I usually end up there the whole time anyways. But my take, if I know I'm staying till the end, and this was kind of what I employed a little bit for my wedding, I know certain people for my wedding, others, were going to stay the whole time. So I wasn't as focused on hanging with y'all at like 7 p.m. when I knew that the fam and some other kind of, friends who were a little either older or had kids or weren't as tight, I want to say hi to them because I knew they may not stay the whole time. Other friends knew you were going to be committed the whole time, so we're good. But that's the thing. It's like that's your strategy. There's your little tip for wedding strategy and how you go about it. If you're a guest and you're staying almost to the end, let the bride and groom have their fun with fam, etc., and then hang out with them towards the end of the night, when there's fewer people to get in the way anyways. If you're going to be bouncing pretty quick at a wedding, get in there and say hi so they remember you were even there. Because, I apparently forgot that one of my friends decided to mostly take off his pants for the photo booth. So, there you go. That's what happens when you're getting married.
A lot happens. Happens. You had a damn dinosaur.
No, dragon.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah.
Distinctly different.
Exactly. One of them has wings. Well, some of the dinosaurs did too, I suppose. Breathes fire, except he didn't, thankfully enough. All right, that's the sidetrack tangent here. Top 3.
Top 3.
What do you got?
Oh, you want me to go my 3? You've been going first the whole time.
No, we've been flip-flopping.
You got to go through. Oh, all right. Well, my 3 is still in the same tier as Miller Lite, which is hilarious because I believe it's the same company. Don't quote me on that. I know they were at some point in time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they still are, but I think it's Miller. Well, now it's Miller Coors, which I guess is in there too. But I'm pretty sure Labatt and Miller were always the same company. Just one was the Canadian expression and one was the American expression.
Okay, not true. Because Labatt is owned by InBev, which is Budweiser. So you got Budweiser, Miller, flip-flop. Now, they still aren't the same. Like Labatt and Bud Light, as we noticed by this test, clearly are not the same. But no, Labatt's owned by Bud versus Miller.
It's weird because I feel like the only reason I thought that's when you went to like venues and whatnot, and were like, "Hey, what do you serve? Is it Miller or Bud Light?" Like, and they'd say Miller, and then it would always be Labatt or Miller.
And maybe they did that because they didn't want to have Bud, or they weren't owned by InBev when you were doing that. They bought. I don't remember when they got bought by InBev. So, admittedly, but anyway, we don't usually tend to spend a whole lot of time trying to figure out about domestic lagers.
Nope. So yes, Labatt came in third place. That was the one. It's definitely the same tier as Miller Lite. If there were any that changed orders like throughout any of my steps, those were the two that kept flip-flopping. And I thought the flavors were pretty much on point and the same. I think that the mouthfeel is what edged it out for the Labatt for me. It felt a little more carbonated, and Miller Lite felt a little more flat, like a little more smooth. And I was looking for anything that had a bite to it of any kind. You know what I mean?
Flavor.
So by the end, it ended up being Labatt at 3, but I know that those two were the two that were back. It was those two were back and forth, and then the Natty Light and the Michelob Ultra were back and forth. Everything else was like locked in the whole way, which made me feel good. But
yeah, that's interesting. Again, mine were bouncing all over the place. So 3 for me is not surprising that this one ended up first out of the big 3. And by the big 3, I'm saying Miller Lite, Coors Light, Bud Light, because those are the 3 that people generally tend to associate most with light beers. Coors Light finished third for me. The Silver Bullet took out the other 2 because I've always kind of felt like that was my preferred, I suppose, out of the grouping, which again is like, how much poop do you want to eat? I'll eat the Coors
and it may
poop.
Be. You don't know with your asterisks on yours.
Right,
like
exactly.
Said, you have to do this again, I think.
Oh, God. All right. Well, regardless, Coors Light finished there. And again, I can't tell you why it separated. One of the reasons why I would do this again is purely to see how it would change, given that I did not feel strongly about most of these beers, right? But so Coors Light finishing third made sense to me. What finished second made no sense to me and made you almost fall out of your chair laughing.
Yeah, this was my second favorite thing that happened. The first was you spilling the beer all over yourself.
Yeah, fair.
But this made me happy.
Somehow, and again, I do not refer to myself most of the time. Some people may on occasion, but for the most part, I do not refer to myself as a basic bitch. But somehow, I ended up with Natty Light in second place. I do not know how that happened. I think my palate was just wrecked, and it must have been tainted with something.
Your morale, your palate,
oh my goodness,
your shirt, your shoes. Your shoes had beer in them.
Shoes had beer in them, yeah. Everything about that evening, from a beer-related standpoint, was just a mess for me. There was nothing enjoyable.
Yes, I'm banging on my
that.
table. Sorry, or my desk.
I take it back. There's nothing enjoyable for me about that. You had a great time.
I had a great time.
Natty Light finished second. Good Lord, we'll finish second for you.
Second for me was Coors Light, and you know what's awesome? I'm going to go ahead and do my first place too because I predicted and hoped because I assumed that these would be my 2 favorite ones based on when I do have to indulge in domestic beer.
Right.
These are the 2. Well, admittedly, PBR Light I've never had PBR, but
sure.
Yeah, Coors Light came in second place. PBR Light came in first place, and dude, we revealed our first place first.
Right? Yeah, we did that first. Yeah.
And yes, so when PBR Light won, and those 2 were both in the exact same tier.
Right.
I wouldn't even split those out. That's my top tier, which ended up beautiful. But the PBR and the Coors Light, they both flirted with this faintest, and I was telling you this, the faintest bit of like a wheat note almost in there. It was like wheat and yeast and the most carbonated ones of all of them. So it had the best mouthfeel.
Sure.
And it had the sweetness, it had the yeast, it had a tiny bit of wheat. I was like, dare I say, there is the weakest complexity of all time in the top 2. So those 2 were locked in the whole time for me as the top 2.
Right.
As soon as I got to them, I'm like, oh, that's going up there.
Yeah. I have to ask, were you happier that PBR Light finished first or that Bud Light finished last?
Bud Light last.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's good that you brought that up because I'd never had PBR Light.
Right.
Like if this were a PBR in there, then yeah, basically I would have been happier that PBR won than if Bud Light came in last because I've already feel like I know that is my king of bad beer.
Sure.
But sure, because it was the light version of it, I was kind of rooting for it, and it just happened naturally. But yeah, I mean, it was just awesome that we revealed that, and then the next thing was the 8th place. The next thing we revealed,
because we did 1, and then we kept kind of shimmying for a bit, and then we did the 8 up to 2, and so you did 2 happy dances.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I don't care what happens between 2 and 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
PBR Light won. Bud Light came in last. Right. I won this already.
Right? Yeah, and you did. I mean, don't get me wrong. I ended up with Modelo Oro as number 1 for me, which actually didn't surprise me that much because I generally tend to like Modelo if I'm drinking
I don't think I've ever had one.
I think you should you will at some point because we'll put Modelo, now that we've decided we have to do this domestic challenge, if you will, domestic and regional challenge. So Modelo will definitely be in there because Modelo, and for whatever reason, people can talk about whatever political reason they want with that kind of stuff. Modelo is one of the if not the most sold beer now, just about in the U.S. somewhere in that ballpark. It's right up there, and so Modelo needs to be in there. And we'll probably swap out Natty Light for Corona maybe this time. I don't know. We'll see when we come back around the next time. But I think
we got to do a part 2 of the light. You got to have a Corona Light, and you got to have the Busch Light. Because I feel like a lot of people would be saying,
I do agree
Corona
with you
Light or Busch Light should. There's a huge amount of people who be like, dude, you left out the best one.
No, we do need to have them in there. And so maybe what we'll do is we'll pull the top, like our top 2. So PBR, Coors Light, Modelo, those 3 maybe we put into this next round, and then we do 3 or 4 more because I don't think we need too obscure. But we'll do that maybe next summer, something like that. My palate's going to need a year to reset anyways after all that.
Oh, we can't wait that long because we got to determine the light beer king.
All right, well, fair. Maybe we need to throw that in there before we do the 6-packs. Okay, we'll figure that out on the schedule. The point is, you have PBR Light. I have Modelo Oro. So right now, those 2 are going to advance.
They're advancing.
We will see how it goes if they can hold that spot if we throw some more stuff at them.
If we do end up taking 3, though, I would almost argue that maybe Coors Light should go as well, because if we did our consensus rankings, that one technically came in first.
Right, yeah, because it was second for you, third for me, and that ended up with the highest combined, or lowest, I guess, combined ranking. So, yeah, fair. So with that said, that is step 1 out of the way, and you'll get to see more ridiculousness in the future. Like I said, I'm gonna post something from the picture and the couple of videos that I had of. You'll see exactly what we're talking about with all of the beers look the same except for 1 or 2. But we've been drinking a different beer throughout the course of this episode so far, which looks nothing like the domestics, and that is a Boulevard Irish style Imperial Stout, which I don't know why they have an eagle on it, but I'm here for it, right? And it says it's a barrel-aged stout from 2026. I will say this, we like Boulevard, right? And I found a 3-pack or a 6-pack of 3 different beers from Boulevard that we'll be doing over the next couple shows. This didn't taste barrel-aged to me very much.
No, it doesn't. And there's this like almost like a fruity carbonated note that I pick up on. Hold on, I got to go in for a sip. But dude,
right,
there's been like this white frothiness that just stays. It doesn't dissipate.
It's right on the edge. Yeah, right on the edge for me. I think it's around the edge for yours as well. And it's great flavor for what it is, because Irish style tends to be a bit drier.
Is there like a root beer note in here?
A little bit. I'm not going to argue that. But again, Irish style tends to be a bit drier, right? It tends to be a bit thinner, I think, personally. And this fits. Yeah. They nail the notes of an Irish style Imperial Stout. But at the same time, the barrel aging I expected to be more prominent, because usually it is. So maybe this one's just maybe we don't know what kind of barrel it was aged in. Maybe it was just aged in, I don't know, some like little oil drum or something. But this one ended up being good. Maybe not great, but it's pretty solid. Like it's a very good flavor.
It's supposed to be lighter. I'm reading the style guide, and they're basically pointing out that they did a spring barrel aged mix pack, it's supposed to be for spring barrel aged like sipping, which to me implies lighter. They don't full on say that.
Mm-hmm. There's something about like fall and winter is heavier stuff, and spring and summer is lighter stuff. So yeah,
man, nobody else is picking up on whatever I'm getting. That's the fruitiness in here, because they like the description says chocolate, coffee and a whisper of whiskey. So light whiskey. So that makes sense.
I don't really get
the
coffee personally.
But then I don't either. But then everybody for their tasting notes are putting barrel-aged, malty, creamy, woody, rich. I think I'm fine with all of that. Yeah. I don't get any of the coffee, but there is something
like almost a reddish fruit in here kind of vibe.
Yes, there's something in there, and I like almost don't know
raspberry-ish or something. I don't know exactly.
I've got to go back in.
Point is, this is a solid beer. Again, it isn't quite what it says it is because again, I feel like the barrel aged piece isn't there as much, but otherwise, another nice entry from Boulevard.
I think I agree with you. I think I would say maybe raspberry.
I love that you think you agree with me. That makes it fun. That
seems accurate. I only think it because it's often you're wrong. I mean, look at your
won
your light beer challenge.
Look,
so
we've talked about this, especially with whiskey. Like you and my buddy Josh, you, Ryan, several of our friends that are much more are big whiskey people are so much better at picking out notes on whiskey than me. I can do beer, I can do wine. But something about whiskey, my palate still is, maybe it hasn't been battered enough by, you'd think it would be, by the amount of whiskey I've drank, but it hasn't, it may not have been battered enough to get its brain around. Because again, for people who try to drink this kind of stuff, there's a reason why, like when younger people are starting out in their drinking, they're not usually doing whiskey neat at 21. They're doing a vodka cranberry, or they're doing whatever, because you're not ready for the amount of alcohol that comes into the percentage, right? The proof in America that comes in. So even though I should be, I still feel like I don't figure out the nuance as well as I should at that level. So that's why I usually defer to you guys when it comes to that kind of stuff. I've accepted my limitations at this point. We'll get there.
It'll happen.
Just got to keep training, man. Got to keep training. Which we're going to do here in a little bit. But before I pop a bottle, which I'll tell a story on here in a second.
I need to pop a bottle too.
Well, you can pop a bottle. I'm going to finish drinking this while we do our next
part. Same.
Hey, so the next part was your idea, so why don't you go ahead and share?
Okay. So basically, we had our episode that we included a little small piece for our halftime show, which would have been an awesome thing to go in a more in-depth take, maybe, but it's fine. Because it would have been good for like this type of episode for the full-on craft. So basically what it was, and maybe we could do next year we could do it and do it differently like this, because basically what it was is we did I think in the past we've done like whatever the internet went crazy about, where you do your daily drinker, your special occasion, your impress your guests, or whatever the 5 or 6 categories of, like pick your bottle of whiskey and plug them in. So we did that once before, and then we did another step where it's like, okay, you got a $250 budget.
Right.
You got to get 6 bottles. Choose wisely. And we did that on a different episode. So it's like, man, let's do something similar to that, only with beer for this. So my thought process was, and I quickly, like 2 seconds before we hit record today, took it a step further, which would have been awesome. So we could even expand on this later. Or updated at some point if things change, who knows. But basically what it was is like, to keep the theme of the show, 6 packs, 12 packs, and so on,
right.
You get it. Yeah. So what it was is like, okay, you get a brewery, right? But it doesn't have to be just to one state or whatever. It's basically a nationwide brewery. I don't know. And you get to carry 6 flagship beers, which means year-round availability. And then you get 6 seasonal, like limited availability beers for the 12-pack. So now you're going to tell me your 6 flagships and 6 seasonals, and I'll do the same.
Well, okay, so first
that you would carry. And I don't know what your percentages would be.
I already messed this up. I just did Michigan.
Oh, that's lame.
Well, oops.
Well, Dan's doing the full-on Michigan one, and I'm going nationwide.
There you go. So that would explain why you mentioned that Bell's didn't make your list. Bell's definitely made my list because I just stuck to Michigan. So, fair.
Nope.
This list would be very different if it was nationwide.
Clearly, we're going to have to do a part 2.
Well, that seems to be the theme
now
for today.
The 1 for 1 isn't even going to make sense. So you just hammer out yours, and then I'll go.
All right. Well, I'll give you my 6 year-round ones. And I did this 4 of these because we decided, we were talking about this, like, this is our preference also with a little nod to the people.
Got to please the public. Yeah,
exactly.
So it's not guaranteeing it's your 6 favorites, but the most of it's going to be your favorites, and then just sprinkle in a couple here and there.
So I have
crowd pleasers.
Right. I've got 4 in this group of the year rounds. 4 of them that are my picks, and then 2 of them that I'm fine with. Check that. 1 that I'm fine with, 1 that I wouldn't drink, but I think everybody else would. Is basically how this breaks down. So Tangerine Space Machine. Love that one. We've talked about that.
If I did what you did, it would have made it.
Right, exactly. M43, which is just an easy go-to. You kind of IPA.
These are year-round.
These are year-round because they are. They're both year-round. Two Hearted, because it's iconic, right? And I think a lot of people around the country even would talk about Two Hearted being in there. For me,
curious to see how that changes once we work our way through our IPA bracket.
I'll be curious. Yeah, because right now I'm obviously putting it up there, but I'll be curious. It will end up it is in the IPA bracket, but we'll talk about that as we go through it as well. Now, for me, the other one that I put in here for me was All Day IPA, because that one is my go-to. If you want to drink a beer that has flavor but doesn't have a ton of alcohol, because we just got done talking about 8 beers that don't have any flavor, also don't have a ton of alcohol, but don't have any flavor. All Day is my go-to for that because it's 4.5%. And so it's easy from that standpoint, and it still has some flavor to it. And the 2 that are for everybody, Oberon, yes, I know it tweaks every year, but Oberon is still one that I think if you put that on the tap, again, running my bar, wanting to make money, you have Oberon on tap, you're probably going to make some money. The other one, this is for the non-beer drinkers who you'd be like, well, try this. Short Soft Parade. I am not a fan, but a lot of people are, because
you know what I kind of want to try? I want to try the Short Soft Parade seltzer. That I think I could get behind.
Because as we were walking around grabbing all this stuff this past week, you talked about this. We are going to do, as we continue
Seltzer War.
Stupid challenges. Yeah, Seltzer War is going to happen too. These dumb, and I say dumb, they're actually awesome. Everyone loves a bracket. But somehow.
But the good news is if we don't like them, that's what my wife drinks. So we can just leave the rest in the fridge.
And I'm very glad.
Hell, we might even just be able to do the Seltzer War in the little mini whiskey mason jars and pour them. Be like, here, you fit. Yeah.
Good. That would lead to a very interesting night for Cato. But yeah, and again, we're going to try to do that one, but do that with a.
She might do the war with us.
She might. Ooh, there you go. I like that idea. We could get her opinion on there. Maybe everyone will understand that she's probably better at this than we are. But yeah, that one we'll try to do. The one thing I will say for the seltzer is we do need to have the same flavor across the board. So we're going to have to look and do a little research on that, because if you start doing different flavors, if you start doing different flavors, that's not a good control variable, right? That we're working with here. So Soft Parade is in there.
For maybe to encourage her to do it with us, because her go-to seltzer is White Claw. Yep. Maybe with her, next time you're here, we need to get every single flavor of the 15 or whatever they are of White Claws.
And see what our favorite is. Oh, good. Yeah, so we're going to do an off script, off screen White Claw challenge now?
Yep. I think so.
This is getting more depressing.
Yes, it is.
Good Lord. All right, we'll get to that later. Why don't you give me your 6, not giving you mine? Now again, you.
Oh no, you got to do your seasonals. Do your seasonals.
No. We're going to do the all year, and then we'll do the season.
Ah, this is rubbish. I wasn't prepared.
Wow, you can pull them up pretty quickly.
Switch it up. Well, you already switched it up because you messed it up.
I screwed up anyways. Yeah, exactly. Whoops.
All right, so the way I'm doing my flagship 6, the year-round availabilities, okay, I'm just basically going lightest or whatever to darkest. They're not ranked in any
this isn't
way.
A 1 through 6, sure.
So I know that if I have, whether it's Michigan or not, if I had only 6 beers that had to be available year-round,
right?
I know that at least this style of beer would be in my 6 for sure. Because here's the thing. You're always, what is going on?
I don't know. It's the beer. The beer's getting to you.
Talking about White Claws.
Switch up to bourbon, buddy.
Something's going on.
You're going to have to switch up to bourbon.
So coming off from this crazy thing that started out as your idea with the light beer challenges, right? I need to have something that at least can potentially please that crowd.
Sure.
but I'm not going to have a lager or a Pilsner. I'm just not. I refuse to. I'm not going to do it. So my closest I can get to that style of beer is a Hefeweizen.
Sure. You do love your Hefs.
So I do actually like them quite a bit. Okay. I do a lot. That'd be a fun one to, there's not a ton of those anyways. I don't know how the hell you'd even do that.
We could do a Hef challenge.
Are we basically just going to do a challenge with everything now? Best Stout, best Porter, best, they're going to bracket everything. That's going to be our new thing until we
If we start having people like pay us for things, like, you know how people do their Patreons with their special episodes? Our special episodes would be all beer related.
You know what one you would love to do? Crowning the best hazy.
Or
best hazy.
Well, no, my best hazy would be the one I'd love to do the most. My second one would be crowning the best sour, because that'd make you drink a bunch of sours, and that'd be fun for me.
That would be a brutal day. So anyways, I chose Live Oaks Hefeweizen from Texas.
Okay. Sure.
And I don't know that you can get it outside the state of Texas. I don't even know if you can get it in like in Oklahoma.
Fair.
I don't think it's available outside. And
well, if
now
there's a state they wouldn't want to send
from,
it to, it'd be Oklahoma.
Yes, that's fair too. But now that my buddies moved from Texas to Tennessee, it's been a long time since I had Live Oak Hefeweizen, but man, I loved it. It was so banana forward. I loved it. All right, next up on this. This one was literally, again, I probably did like 94% what I would do and 6% like got to please the public.
Sure.
And I really would have a Hefeweizen on there. And that is my favorite Hef that I've had.
Sure.
But this one would not make my top 6 if I were doing it. But I got to have this option in there for the crowd. But for the style of beer it is, I think it's my favorite one I've ever had for this style. And it's funny, you just said a sour one. Because this is technically a sour, I think. Or a fruited at the very least.
Okay.
I put Zool's PB&J mixtape. Blackberry edition.
Wait, isn't that a different? Isn't the Blackberry Cobbler? Or is there a different one?
No, Betty's Blackberry Cobbler is just a blackberry sour.
Okay.
They have a PB&J regular. They got the PB&J, I think, a strawberry and a PB&J grape and a PB&J blackberry. The blackberry one, that one I actually liked, and it's kind of got that.
This is your year-round
set,
vibe. Isn't it?
Yes, I have to have a year-round like
that one's not
sour
year-round,
or something. No, I don't care if it's this is what I would do.
Oh,
I would make that thing.
I did it based off of what was available year round. See, there you go.
Nope.
I misunderstood the assignment.
You can do anything you want. The world is your oyster, dude.
Well, my oyster got just tainted.
Just like your samples when you've missed a step.
Exactly. I missed a step in this process, 100%.
Dan missed the whole mark on everything with craft.
I shot an arrow and I missed the entire target.
Yep. Yeah.
Rough.
Anyways, moving along here, and I'm going to read the description of this one because I looked it up, like trying to figure out where I graded it, you know, and I definitely graded it to where it should be in here, but there's a few I'll read the description on. So year-round availability, I understand that it probably should be a standard IPA. Don't care. It's a double IPA. It is what it is.
No complaints.
Shorts Brewing Superfluid.
Now that's funny.
Why?
It's in my limited release one because I was going off of what I thought was the rules. Dude, there. That's great.
I'm going to read an American double IPA with a large but basic malt bill that explodes with the perfume of resiny, I think that's the word, hop aromas. The lack of sweet, probably the reason I like it, specialty grains allows hops to seize the flavor, contributing bright, tasty qualities of citrus fruit and berries. Okay. Yeah. The perfect piney bitterness resonates across the palate, complementing the awesome hop intensity within, blah, 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 blah. So basically, I love the
word salad of PR people on beer stuff,
I know.
By the way.
That's why it's tough to read because it's all buzzwords. So basically, all that I'm reading is they go as light as they possibly can on any of the sweet malty notes and lean super hard into the hoppy, piney, bitter notes.
Which is your jam.
That is my jam. Mm-hmm. So I fully wonder. I've always said I think my favorite IPA might be Superfluid. And there's another one I'll talk about later that would be.
And if you could contract with Shorts at your bar to have them just brew Superfluid for you year round, you would. You may even take them at you may even just be like, cool, dude, just give me a bunch and I'll find a way to keep it fresh for the whole year if you only brew it once, right?
So the next one, the fourth one on here, no particular order, Toppling Goliath's King Sue Hazy IPA.
Sure.
So I think that might be my favorite. So if we put that in a hazy challenge, that would be the one that I would think would win. I know you've said M43 you think would win. I don't know.
Well,
I love a lot of hazies. I love a lot of hazies.
Toppling Goliath, we generally tend to like across the board. So yeah, fair.
5 for me, and I know this is the third IPA on this list, but it's a completely different style of IPA. Sure. I went with Short's Goodnight Bodacious. It's a black IPA.
Yeah.
So it's a nice transition. It's almost like a stout porter IPA. All had a baby, and it's just great. And I had to do it. And then I got to get a stout on here, right? And I got to have something that's barrel aged year round on here. So I went with New Holland's Dragon's Milk Standard Barrel Aged Stout, the standard one. None of the crazy stuff in it. It's so good. It's just so good, and balanced, and it doesn't feel fake or artificial or anything. It's still my favorite Dragon's Milk Stout, hands down, to date.
Okay, so not gonna argue that.
There's my 6.
Before we get into the other 6, because I'm dry on my beer and you're about to be. Do you remember when we were walking around? Because we've talked about this. I owe you a tomahawk steak for how poorly I did in the NCAA tournament. That's going to happen at some point. Probably next time we hang out, we'll cook tomahawks. It'll be great. I'll spend $80. It'll be awesome. But then you said you owed me from, what did I owe you from World Cup? And I'm like, oh, it was a bottle of something. We both forgot that you already gave me the bottle. So,
whoops.
That's what I'm cracking over right now. It's from your boy, Money at On the Rocks, and this is Angel's Envy, a single barrel finished in port wine barrels. So we got a little port wine action.
And the only reason I got it is because it is perfect that you said it on this show that you think you've got the palate when it comes to wines.
More so than whiskey.
That's why it's like,
it's great. I'm not sommelier.
Wine finished whiskey. We can put Dan to the test.
Right, and I used to run a champagne and cocktail bar, so I actually went to wine events and tasted wine and tried to pick out flavors and stuff like that. I had a friend who was a rep for one of one of the companies that supplied us that was actually trained to be a sommelier, so we had some conversations here and there. But I also had my buddy Barney come with me, and Barney, this dude, he has stayed in the drink making industry his whole life. So this guy is a really good bartender now. Not that he wasn't then, but it's like he has spent 20 years in the bartender world, and he is insane. But he would come with me to these wine tasting events. He's like, why am I here? Obviously British, so in his accent. Why am I here? I can't, as good or it's bad. It's like, I need a good or bad guy too. Because I'm going to be trying to figure out all the flavors and things. There should be people coming to the bar that are just like, that wine's good, that wine's bad. Need to have that as well. So, and
that's
honestly,
how I would be.
Right, exactly. So we'll bring you to a thing for that reason. Whereas for the whiskey, you can pick out all the notes, and I can pick out 2. And then the rest of it's good or bad. So we'll see with my slight amount of congestion whether or not I can pick out anything from the nose on this guy.
Well, after you sip and smell that, you got to get into your seasonals, and I got to spin behind myself here.
Right. Okay, well, here we go.
Pick out a bottle, too.
This has got I just
don't know which one.
No, it definitely has. Yeah, I can tell. It's not that. Wow, this guy is. I didn't check the. Whoa, okay. This is 55%, so it's 110 proof, which is about in the ballpark. But this does not taste like that. I'm quite curious. It feels a lot lighter. I thought it was like 45.
Oh, it feels.
As far as the percentage was. So yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Well, you go look and see what you want to sip to compare. I don't know if you have anything that's finished in anything resembling a wine cask, but that would be the great thing to grab right now.
I do, but because I went with a different parallel, if you will.
Okay.
Because we went Boulevard, I guess I'm just going to do a nod to the state of Missouri and go with some Ben Holiday Rickhouse Proof.
Sure.
6 year. Unless you prefer, I go wine.
No, I think you can definitely do Ben Holiday. No complaints about that. Ben Holiday's a good bit. And again, if you'll notice, you see behind JP's head, one side has got all of the Kentucky ones. One side has got all of the non-Kentucky ones.
Kentucky.
Right, that's Kentucky.
This side, not Kentucky.
And that's the reminder for any of you who are wondering
about
about
bunch more down below me. Right. There's 2 more shelves.
Yep. But for any of you who are wondering about the whiskey world, it doesn't just have to be Kentucky anymore. Now, I'm not saying the bourbon. Some of the best bourbon in the world comes from Kentucky, obviously, because that's where bourbon comes from. But other states are putting out good stuff, and Ben Holiday is one of those. So,
and I guess, you know what? It seems how this is the craft episode. I'll just explain my shelves.
Okay.
I've never done that. We're going to go a little long today.
Go for it. Well,
up there.
We always go long.
E.H. Taylor Barrel Proofs, my all-time favorite.
All of them.
That I've ever had. All of them except for batch 1, because you have to like cut off your arm to get it.
Fair.
But 2 through today, up there. And then there's the single oak projects just hiding in the corner up there.
Right.
The next one is also a Buffalo Trace shelf, but it starts out with the open Buffalo Traces that I have, and the Stags, and the Wellers, and Eagle Rares, and all that.
And Blantons, because you have to have Blantons.
And Blantons in there, and just the standard Buffalo Trace. Sure. Then you go down to the third one there, and that's just the Wild Turkey shelf. Mm-hmm. Everything Wild Turkey. Next shelf down, you can see that one. That's all Old Forester.
Right, and Old Forester products.
That's made at Old Forester, but not Old Forester, like King of Kentucky.
Right.
Then the bottom one that you can't see is just anything else Kentucky that I have that's not made by Buffalo Trace, Wild Turkey, or Old Forester. Because
there's a lot of.
There's a lot of. Those are my 3 favorite distilleries. This is probably for most as well from Kentucky ones. But down there, you've got some 1792s, some Willets, some Elijah Craig, so you're having Hills and things like that.
You still have a Bardstown, or have you kind of gone through all the Bardstown that you've been given?
I got one Bardstown left. The collab that they did with Founders with the KBS beers. That's the only one I have left. So then you come over to the non-Kentucky side. Top shelf, all Michigan. Everything up there is made in Michigan.
We do like to make beverages here in Michigan, don't we?
Yes, we do. The next shelf is all the Jack Daniel's shelf.
Right,
and
so Tennessee
like I said,
in that case.
Yep, I absolutely love Jack Daniel's rye. Trying to figure out why everybody loves the Jack Daniel's bourbon.
Right,
if you
will. The sour mash.
Working on it. On it. Then it's just all the other states. So my goal is to get a bottle from like every state. So for just the one you can see here, you can see some Texas with Still Austin, Missouri, Ben Holiday, Maryland, Sagamore, Wyoming whiskey implied.
Right.
Ponfay, Pennsylvania, Middle West, Ohio.
Little Ohio,
JT Mellick, Louisiana. And you just got a bunch of other states down here. I think I've usually got probably half the states done.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably somewhere in the high 20s.
Yeah, we're going to work on that. As people hopefully pay more attention to this, and then therefore distilleries pay more attention to this, and we can actually make them some money by having them featured on our show, we will definitely be getting booze from other states so we can talk about it if they decide we're worth it to them. And then you can get your whole collection in there. That'll happen. Because again, I do believe there's worthwhile brews in every state that should be talked about. There's no doubt. Speaking of other brews, though, now these are only Michigan ones again because I did it wrong. Real quick, to run through my my beverages that are of the seasonal nature, because I followed it with what are my seasonal ones that are actually seasonal. Dragon's Milk Triple Mash, which is a 17% behemoth of a beer. One of the Dragon's Milk had to make it. That's why I like that you've had it in your year-round, because it does fit that. It just didn't quite fit my year-round. But that's the beer that you didn't realize was 17% until you drank 4 of them in an ice fire, in a snow fire, in your snow throne.
Yeah,
and then
I was blaming
out of your snow throne.
As the ice.
Ice throne.
It's not the beer. No, I'm just saying that's why I was stumbling.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Get it. It's a joke.
Right, so that's one of them. Another one, and I looked at these. 3 of mine are of the dark nature. One of the other ones is KBS. So KBS for me would be a seasonal thing.
Standard?
I feel like standard KBS. There's flavors abounds, right? But let's just keep it simple. Standard KBS makes that list. The Kentucky Breakfast Stout from Founders is one of the easy to put on there ones. And then I had 2 shorts ones. Freedom 78, which is a very solid beer. Love that one. And then Superfluid, which you talked about.
Aha.
So both of those are ones that I think are 2 of the better ones the shorts makes. And so I want them to be on in the rotation. Plus, Freedom is just a fun thing anyways. The next one is a bias toward me and my buddy whose family owns the brewery, Tree
Beard's
Blood.
Brewing.
Yep, from Beard's Brewing, Tree Blood. It's their brewery, but also it is a thin-ish porter that comes out late spring, which does not normally happen because when they make it, and I've said this before, they actually use tree sap instead of water when they brew it, hence the tree blood name, because sap isn't as thick as syrup when it comes out. It's actually somewhat thin. And so they make it with that, and it ends up with a porter, but a porter at a time of year when you don't usually do a porter. So that's why tree blood would be on there just for fun. And then same thing for another buddy of mine who lives in the southeast corner of Michigan. There's a brewery. A little shout out to Pavlov's, which is in Bedford Township, just north of Ohio. Like the border for Bedford is Ohio, so it's still on the good side, right, in Michigan. The Brewhouse Watchdog Belgian Triple, which is like a 10%er, got one of my better grades in the time that I've been doing stuff on tap. So I had to go through and actually say that. Pavlov has got some fun stuff. That one is one that you're not going to find in too many places unless you're in Southeast Michigan, though. So it's not quite a brewery special, like a pub special, but it's close.
All right. Well, we definitely got some different ones, but you didn't follow the rules. So
right, exactly.
You didn't understand the rules. Okay. No. My first one that I'm going to list on here, this is the other one I wanted to read the description of because I don't know that even you knew this. Okay. But if there were a favorite IPA of mine that would challenge Superfluid, it is also by Shorts, which, by the way, Shorts, can you start releasing some of this, please, and stop with this nonsense that you're putting out?
I like to do new things.
The Liberator, man.
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely love it. Check this description out. And tell me if this is just wordplay or if this is just super crazy unique or what.
Yeah.
Because you know how they are with words. As for a double IPA, this beast employs a sizable malt bill, but it is the crazy amount of hops added to the boil every 4 minutes for 120 minutes that really makes this beer special. Fruity, floral, and piney hop flavors penetrate through the caramelized malt profile. Liberator is a well-balanced, full-bodied brew that has a bitter finish due to the post-fermentation addition of lemon and orange zest. Here's where it gets crazy. The original batch brewed on the Bel Air system had 42 pounds of hops in it, compared to Huma, right? Which has about 20 pounds of hops per batch.
All right,
so this is a little over double. Today, Elk Rapids batches have up to 138 pounds of hops.
Good Lord.
The name Liberator came from Joe's name for the Shorts employees who carry out our company's mission statement, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. No, and that actually isn't as much of a word salad, right? Because that's a descriptive bit. Because you don't usually hear, it's like they do it every 4 minutes for 2 hours. That is dedication.
Yes.
That's a lot of work.
And I'm telling you, that's the one that I've said that I think I like better than Liberator, than Superfluid. But they just, I don't see it anymore. Maybe that's why.
Fair.
It's a lot of work. I would love to see that one again. I would love to see that one again. It was so good. I think that is my contender for like my favorite all-time beer.
Hope Shorts is listening, man.
Hope so. Next one I thought about, putting like the months this would be available, but basically I'm just going earliest to latest, and there may be overlap. Some might be available for 4 months, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it may be, but that'd be the first seasonal release. Next one, Old Nation's B43 Grapefruit IPA. There's no way I can't have that light grapefruity bit in there just for summertime vibes. It's just so good. Here's one that definitely wouldn't make my 6 if I were doing just all my favorites, but I have to have an Oktoberfest in here. So I deferred to when we did our Oktoberfest challenge, and if I remember correctly, the Founders Ultimate Oktoberfest, that bourbon barrel aged one, was the one that won for both of us.
Well, it was such a more unique flavor because a lot of the Oktoberfest beers kind of taste very similar, bready,
just
toasty,
the Marzens,
etc.
Yeah,
right. But that one was obviously a different point, and so it's certainly one. And when you said that you were doing this like seasonally, and it wanted to have and you mentioned you gave a little note toward the Oktoberfest and the pumpkin stuff. I was like, he's putting the ultimate Oktoberfest in there. I just knew that was going to happen.
And it's an easy segue to the next one. So what one for me won the Pumpkin Crusher? I got to have a pumpkin
Crusher.
Beer.
Yeah.
Pumpkin Crusher. Shorts Pumpkin Crusher. So
which
Shorts
is out now.
Pretty well represented, which none of it is out. This one does still come out. So thankfully they do that.
Yeah,
and then the last two here, I had to go some darker route.
Right.
So, dude, and this one's no longer even in production, so I'm bringing it back. But don't get it confused with what they do now. The coconut dragon's milk that comes out now. I think it's a toasted coconut dragon's milk.
The last one they did was toasted coconut, yeah.
But that's getting ready to come out right now, too. It's right. But the New Holland Dragon's Milk Reserve Coconut Rum from 2018, which was infinitely more different than this one. Less alcohol, I think, maybe.
Well, because they did do a coconut rum one like last year.
Right, and it's coming out again soon, but it's not the same recipe. I want that one from 2018 where it was a lot. The coconut was way more up front, almost faker. I don't know, but it was delicious. I absolutely love it. It was so good. And then I stayed right there with the exact same thing. You did it. There's no way I cannot not have triple mash in here. So New Holland Dragon's Milk Triple Mash is in here for sure. 17% barrel aged beer. Yeah. You know what? I want to look that up real quick.
What are we looking up for a triple mash? Like when it's available, or
no, the description of it. Because I think they do something crazy with that too. You can surprise me.
I mean, just when you look at the complexity of that beer and how they find a way to make a 17% beer still drinkable. Because again, let's not forget, you start getting into that level of alcohol on a beer, and it starts being noticeable, right? That's
they have a triple. They have a triple barrel triple mash.
Okay,
there's nothing crazy in this.
We're adding that to the list.
Yeah.
And again, we were trying to make sure it wasn't just complete one-offs when we did our seasonal, our fully available, because you don't want to have a beer that happened one time as something that would be on your list, right? Well,
the coconut rum reserve one.
Yeah. But again, they've done other coconut rum reserves. They just did a different recipe, and that's a different story.
And I got a whole another 12. I've almost made it, or maybe could have made it.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll do that for your extended portfolio in the future. And you know what the funny thing is, dude? I'll tell you this. So we aren't going to dude, we're already over an hour. So I think we're good on this episode. We will talk about the beer that we had that wasn't trash that we had over the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had a few beers when we were doing the longest disc golf course in Imagined in history. And then also we'll talk about some of the whiskey.
Which also went very well for you.
Right. We'll get to all of that next time. So next time, we're going to do fantasy football. We're going to look at
Should we cover this, though?
We're going to look at it. Yeah, I'm just saying, we're going to do rankings. We're going to do a few other things. But before we get to that, let's do that. I will tell you this Angel's Envy, for being a 55%, which is when you start, for me, 50 is fine. When you start getting to 55 on up, that's when it starts getting, can you distinguish flavor? Now, can your palate handle the amount of alcohol that you're drinking, the percentage, right? Because you're over half now. Is it easy to discern? This one is a very easy drinking whiskey, and it's one of the reasons why I think people like Angel's Envy, is because it doesn't challenge you too much in a good way. Like it's a simple one to drink, where somehow even when it is a higher percent, it still comes off as a little bit softer than some of the other stuff. So yeah, this is definitely a softer landing bourbon than the ones that I've had. It doesn't have any of the pepper, doesn't have any of that stuff. And I think the port wine probably helps with that, because again, port wine is like fortified wine, right? It's wine that's a higher percentage than normal wine and tends to be sweeter anyways. And so I think you get a lot of that coming through on this. So if you like something that's a bit sweeter, if you like a whiskey that is more in the sweet and the wheat kind of angle towards the things, this would probably be more your speed. And this will be something that I pull out for certain occasions. And it's good, but it isn't my normal choice because it doesn't have as much attitude, maybe. But it is very easy to sip and have if you're just going to have something you don't really want to experience, like all of the complexities. It again, we talk about this. It hits a note and it hits it well. So good work from that standpoint. Nice job picking it. Nice job, Money and your boys, for choosing this barrel.
I'm glad it wasn't a bad one. But I guess this is a quick note, because I think I've covered this one on the show before, but the Ben Holiday Rick House Proof. This isn't the soft red Rick House Proof. It's the regular one. So awesome like flavors of your standard, like caramels, vanillas, oaks, all those things. You know what I mean? What I would say is different, though, between this and the soft red one, is that soft red one is leans harder into the sweeter, lighter profile.
Right.
this regular Rickhouse one, I'm getting a lot more of the spices and things in there, which is definitely
the attitude.
More me. The attitude, yep. So I prefer this one. They're both fantastic. Again, it's a 6-year one. Mine is 120.1 proof. So mine's a little hotter.
That is barrel proof. There's no doubt. And now that is one that people can find. Proof, right, you can find all over at least Michigan. So you can find it in a lot of places. And that one's
this one I've never seen here.
60, 70? Okay, maybe not that one. Other Ben Holidays, though.
Other Ben Holidays. This one in Tennessee.
Right. Other Ben Holidays you can find around here at least, and it's worth a try because, again, it's not a bourbon from either Michigan in our case, but it's not a bourbon from Kentucky. It's Missouri, right? But it does a pretty good job. Like, you've been a fan of it pretty much since you tried it. Like, the different versions of it.
Absolutely. Love I haven't had anything from Ben Holiday that I haven't loved. I like them all. So good.
Okay. Well, we still managed to find a way to talk for an hour and 10 minutes.
110.
Right? Jeez, that'd be a show. An hour and 10 minutes about just beverages. And that's the reminder, man. There's so much cool stuff to try out in this world. We gave you some beer to find if you are so inclined to go seek it out. Gave you a couple bourbons. We're going to talk more about those next time. But next time is our fantasy football episode where you and I are going to tip our hands and hope that none of our friends that actually do the drafts with us
post it late.
Attention.
Post it late.
I might have to wait until after we get done with our drafts for that. We'll catch you next time on Draft Craft.